Happy New Year! Let's talk about the changing concept of time. For most of medieval Europe, time was something you lived inside. It flowed through the rhythms of the church, with bells, liturgy, fasting, feasting, and unfolded with the land, sowing and harvest, abundance and famine. Time belonged to God, and human beings simply moved within it, like currents carried along a divine river. Jacques Goff reminds us that medieval time was not a single uniform experience. It was layered, overlapping, and theological. Christian thought anchored time within salvation history: creation, incarnation, resurrection, the long hope of the second coming. Time had direction towards God, but it was not yet something one could measure, divide, or sell. Medieval clergy spoke of it with reverence, as something sacred, inseparable from eternity rather than profit. That is why the economic world of merchants provoked such anxiety. In the 14th century, a Franciscan theologian posed a striking question. May a merchant demand a higher payment from someone who cannot settle a debt immediately than from someone who can? His answer was no, because in doing so, the merchant would be selling time, and time belonged to God alone. To profit from delay bordered on sacrilege. Yet another conception of time was taking root. Quietly, not through theory at first, but through practice. By the 12th century, commerce was expanding. Trade networks stretched from the North Sea to the Mediterranean. Goods traveled further. Risk increased. Credit became essential. And suddenly, time began to mean something new. Time became delay. Time became risk. Time became opportunity. Time became a chance to profit. For the church, this was dangerous. Interest was not merely an economic concern, it was a metaphysical one. To profit from waiting was to claim possession over something God alone governed. A merchant charging extra because a debtor needed time was not simply negotiating. He was trespassing onto the sacred. So two visions of time collided. On one side, the church's time, divine, eternal, morally governed, and beyond human ownership. On the other hand, merchant's time, strategic, calculable, predictable, and usable. This was not a small intellectual disagreement. It unsettled medieval thought because it raised a deeper question. Could humans claim authority inside time itself? Slowly, uneasily, through argument and adaptation, Western thought began to secularize the clock. Labor gained measurable duration. Work acquired quantifiable value. Life acquired schedules. Economic necessity forced theology to confront a radical idea. Time might not belong only to God. It might also belong to human systems. Centuries later, the Industrial Revolution did not create this new conception of time. It completed it. Time ceased to be sacred and became standardized. Clocks ceased to serve churches and became discipline factories. Then came railroads. Before, every town kept its own solar time. Boston and New York could differ by minutes, and that was perfectly manageable in a medieval world. But trains demanded precision. Without synchronized time, trains crashed. So governments did something extraordinary. They legislated the sky. Time zones were drawn. Noon stopped meaning when the sun stands highest and instead meant what the timetable says. The workday became uniform. Punctuality became a virtue. Life was increasingly experienced not as sacred rhythm, but as a measurable resource, budgeted, optimized, and monetized. The world did not merely change how it used time, it changed what time was. And that may be the unsettling truth Le Goff helps us to see. Modern time, neutral, standardized, and efficient, is not neutral at all. It is the triumphant legacy of merchants, states, and industry over priests, ritual, and salvation history. Time moved from being a medium of divine action to a tool of coordination, productivity, and control. Time shapes history, and history reshapes time.